Now it's time for Toker Talk Radio, the voice of the marijuana nation.
What are you people? On dope?
Where you can toke.
I inhale frequently.
Or you can talk.
I experimented with marijuana and didn't inhale.
Or you can toke and talk.
10 federal criminal penalties for possession of up to 1 ounce of marijuana.
While we talk about toke on Toker Talk Radio.
So, by the way, when it comes to pot, you know, if you're 40 years old, you live in a log cabin in Oregon, you got 12 giant pot plants in your backyard, have a ball.
Live from beautiful Portland, Oregon at Rolla J Studios.
Hey, this is great.
Get the cannabis.
Plus your calls live at 971-533-7111.
They're walking on their pants with their cap on backwards, listening to Enema Man and Snoopy Poop Dog.
What's to keep somebody from getting all potted up on weed and then getting behind the wheel? Gateway theory doesn't work. It's a reality.
Holland, is it real? Don't tease me.
We're locking up people that take a couple of puffs of marijuana, and the next thing you know, they got 10 years.
And now, here's your host, the guru of ganja graphics, the sultan of sativa statistics, and the worst nightmare of a reefer mad prohibitionist. A polite, perspicacious, productive pothead with a propensity for PowerPoint. Radical Russ Belville.
That's what it feels like.
Yep, just kind of digging around.
Just digging, trying to stay out of the hole. Oh, welcome everybody to Toker Talk Radio. I'm Radical Russ. That's Brian the Red over there.
Hola.
Como está usted?
Muy bien.
Glad you could be here. All sorts of things happening in the world. The first thing, before I forget, I gotta get this out of the way, is we've got our Fan Friday contest that we started on Friday to win this March 1975 edition of High Times magazine,
which is like so cool.
Yeah, it's got a cover of what is that? It's like Moroccan hash harvest or something, something like that.
I believe so.
All sorts of cool stuff in here. And so we did the contest on Friday, and my thing was, all right, we'll do the contest on Friday, but it'll be email over the weekend so that the people that are podcast listeners have a chance to compete, right? And then yours truly forgot to post the podcast until like Sunday night. Didn't forget to. It's just like I was all, you know me, my brain's just exploding with this Denver thing.
Well, you know, you had our show, and then all of a sudden, you know, the Herb show.
Yeah.
You know, and then you were like,
and then a 7 a.m.
I gotta get ready for the flight. So
yeah, 7 a.m. flight
and whatever. So
yeah, so I had a 7 a.m. flight, so I didn't get the show posted. And then I realized, well, that's not fair. The podcast people haven't had the time to engage in the contest like the live listeners have. Now I have gotten about 5 entries from live listeners who've entered the trivia contest. And what we're going to do is we're going to redo the trivia contest today and give you to the rest of the week to enter.
Till next Friday.
Right. And I think maybe we'll just keep it a Friday to Friday thing from now on. Right?
Sure.
Is give everyone a whole week.
That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, give everyone a whole week to compete, right? Rather than just
some
the
people
weekend.
don't get to your podcast, you know, the weekend. You know,
especially the Friday podcast. They may not download it till Monday.
Yep.
Right. All right. So that's the new rules. We're making it up as we go along. That's the new rules.
That's what it is with live.
So you have the rest of the week to answer our trivia question. And the trivia question is, to win this High Times magazine, is what is your quest? No.
What is your favorite color?
No.
No, it's what is the founder of Normal's first name?
And a lot of you think you know it and you don't.
You don't.
You don't.
No, do you?
So do a little research.
People like us who have bumped elbows with him, you know.
Even some people that have worked years with him don't realize
that
Keith is not his first name.
Darn you.
Oops.
Darn you.
Anyway, so to get into the contest, all you got to do is email with the subject Fan Friday. Email the answer. What is the first name of the founder of Normal? Send it to Russ at radicalruss.com. And on Friday, we will randomly select from all the correct answers, and we will mail to you this March edition, 1975 High Times. And then this Friday, we'll have another trivia question and another issue.
How will we randomly select, you may ask? I will tell you. We will give each correct person who entered a number, and then we will go to randomnumbergenerator.com and
enter our variables,
and there we go.
Exactly. We'll just we'll have the computer pick a number from 1 to 17 or however many people in it.
However many, yeah.
We'll pick the 17th email. Boom, that's you.
Ta-da!
All right. So there you go. Joe Bob. Trickster Phillips says Joe Bob. Oh, if that were only true.
Okay, well, you know.
All right, so let me get to the other news, which is I went to Denver this weekend. It was pretty exciting because, as I mentioned, we're trying to put together a first in America, which would be a 24-hour TV channel for weed, for marijuana.
Yeah, well, since it's become legal now, you know, we're going to need to be representing ourselves in the mainstream way.
Yeah.
So
that was it. Went there for a meeting to try to work out all the details, scouting around for locations. You know, where would we have the studio? How will the company be built? How will it be funded? Who are we going to advertise with? What will the call letters be? Blah, blah, blah. All this kind of stuff. So all I can tell you at this point is we're in the process. And, you know, I think it'll happen, but it might not. I don't know. We'll see. But
depends
man, my
if
fingers
all
are
the
crossed,
wheel-
man.
It depends on if all the cogs, if all the pieces are there to get this machine moving.
Well, the thing,
you know?
the only fear I have is that, like, I don't know if you noticed, I'm a busy guy. So,
No.
yeah. So, like, on Tuesday the 21st, I've been summoned to jury duty. On Wednesday, January 29th, I have my presentation in Ashland for that business conference.
Mm-hmm.
They want to launch the channel on February 1st.
And
my show would go live February 3rd.
But isn't your
the
birthday-
San Bernardino? Oh, my birthday is this in between there too.
Yeah.
Not even counting my birthday being in there somewhere, and the fact I got to get divorce papers signed. That's not even in this list. But then also start my show on February 3rd. Do the San Bernardino Cup that weekend. Then come back, do another week of shows. Then fly back to Portland for a date on the 15th that I can't break. I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I'll survive. But that's what we're working on, tentatively called KTHC Denver, the Herb channel, and on channel 5.2. But we will see, man. We'll see. We'll just see what happens. And I know I'm all excited about it. I can see the positive of what could happen. But I'm also trying to have a realist approach of, hey, this is a lot of moving parts, man. So we'll see. But no matter what, 420 Radio stays. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, will Mexican cartels overrun the Colorado pot shops?
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
The law offices of Omar Figueroa would like to remind you to stand up for your rights. Please do not give up your precious liberties. There's nothing wrong with standing up for our constitutional rights, and in fact, it's the best way to honor the Constitution that recognizes our natural rights. Treat law enforcement with respect and respect the Constitution by standing up for your rights. If you are detained or arrested, stand up for your rights by repeating, "I respectfully invoke all of my legal and constitutional rights. I do not consent to any search and seizure. I want to remain silent, and I want to speak with my attorney, Omar Figueroa." Omar Figueroa has more than a decade of experience in federal and California courts and graduated from Yale University, Stanford Law School, and Trial Lawyers College. Please contact the law offices of Omar Figueroa at 415-489-0420 or 707-829-0215 or on the web at omarfigueroa.com. 420 Radio. Tune in, turn on, get highly educated. Cannabis Outreach Collective is an alternative health and wellness option located in Gladstone, Oregon, that serves patients in the Portland area and beyond. We are a full-service alternative health and wellness collective accommodating patients with natural, organic, holistic, and homeopathic remedies, nutritional guidance, advice, education, and medical cannabis, fully in accordance with Oregon OMMP law. You can find out more about Cannabis Outreach Collective on Facebook at COC503 or by emailing cannabisoutreachcollective503 at gmail.com or by telephone at 503 853-1319. Check out our menu on Weed Maps and visit Cannabis Outreach Collective today.
Oh, yeah. Welcome back, everybody. Toker Talk Radio. I was in Denver, and Libra was complaining that she missed it, that I don't play bass anymore on the show. I should get my bass out and jam some more. Whoops, sorry.
We'll have another hour. Instead of Toker Talk Radio, it'll be called Toker Rock Radio.
So I'll jam a little.
Yeah, just go ahead and jam.
All right, that's enough goofing off.
Yeah, that's a little two Rolling Stones driving and crying, accompanied by Radical Russ Belleville on extra bass.
On extra bass. Oh, this is the good part too, right here. This is all where they jam.
Oh, see, you put it down too soon.
Ah, well.
You dropped the axe. See, in the hood they say you drop the gat. On the stage they say you drop the axe.
That's right. So Driving and Crying with a great cover of Robin Trower's Two Rolling Stone. Welcome back. It's Toker Talk Radio, and I was just goofing off. Thanks for letting me goof a little.
Well, it is your show, so.
Yeah. So there was this article in Policy Mike that I wanted to talk about. Mexican drug. Gotta close this damn ad here. God damn. God. Yeah. You kids in your HTML5. All right. Mexican drug cartels will likely try to overrun Colorado's new pot shops.
Dun, dun, dun.
I went, huh? All right, so all worried about this, right? The Mexican drug cartel is going to overrun Colorado's new pot shops. This is written by Jay McQuaid in Policy Mike, and points out that it's $5 million in the first day or first month or week. God, I can't even think. $5 million done in the first 5 days of sales, but DEA Denver office spokesman Albert Villasoso told reporters, what is quite possible is that cartels will hire straw owners who have clean records, who can apply for a license, and then sell large quantities both legally and on the black market. End quote.
Not if they want to keep their license. Well, I mean, they can still have people slinging on the side, I guess, but...
Officials believe that operating a legal business synonymous with illegal drug cartels might make pot retailers an objective for extortion. With marijuana legally being distributed in Colorado, there is virtually no need for black market competition or backdoor deals to be made. Obviously, this wouldn't sit well with those involved in the illegal industry. How much are the cartels losing? The Mexican Institute of Competitiveness in 2012 said if Colorado legalized, drug cartels could end up losing $1.425 billion annually, which would put a dent in drug trafficking revenues by 20 to 30%. The Sinaloa cartel, who does a lot of business in Colorado, could lose up to 50%. So, what they're fearing here is that the drug cartels will have some kind of retaliation against the legal retailers. Because they won't be happy with losing $1.4 billion a year.
Well, it sounds more like they're just going to try and get in on legal business.
The legal retailers take cash only, leaving them vulnerable to robbery. They have to take cash only because they're not allowed to establish accounts with standard financial institutions, because if they do, that violates federal law. So, this puts retailers in a position where they're damned if they do and damned if they don't. It's only been a little less than 2 weeks since they've been in the business, but as anyone could imagine, it couldn't possibly be easy to do business with both the federal government and violent drug cartels breathing down your neck at the same time. Well, I don't see this. This is the rhetoric that we get from like the Kevin Sabets, where they'll say, well, the drug cartels, they're not just going to go away. They'll be fueling the underground market for kids. They'll go after the kids. And my thought is, all right, look, we had a market, an underground market that everyone was a part of from age 12 to 100. Now, only the people aged 12 to 20 are in that underground market. Isn't that a reduction? Doesn't that make it? I mean, I don't see the 12 to 20-year-olds smoking enough to make up for all the adults now who can get it legally or can grow their own. I mean, this is something that also gets left out in both the tax discussion and the price discussion. Is in Colorado, you can grow your own. If you don't like the tax, grow your 3 plants.
Go grow some plants. It's not hard.
You're allowed to do so. And when you look at this chart and you see all those arrests in the before, and you see how many of them have gone down in the after.
That cliff that just plummets down.
It's a beautiful thing.
Awesome. I love it.
That's
what we knew was going to happen.
That's for all marijuana charges, not just less than an ounce. That's trafficking, that's cultivation, that's possession with intent to distribute. All marijuana charges dropped by about 74% overall. That's just amazing. But this fear that the cartels are going to somehow be involved with this on the legal side by hiring straw purchasers, straw buyers to get licensed, sounds like you're saying an illegal crime organization is going to somehow want to get itself involved with paperwork. And get itself, registered. Even if it's through a third party, right? There's going to be some tie back there, right?
Yeah, because they're going to require the RFID tag tracking from the plant's seed to sale system. And if there's extra weed coming in from somewhere, where'd it come from? It's going to be easily tracked, and they're going to be, pointing it out real quick if somebody is trying to subvert it.
It's going to be,
the numbers.
And even at all of this, you're still requiring that whoever is this straw purchaser is in competition with all the legitimate ones that want to open up businesses as well. So at least we've got that level of check on who's doing the marijuana business. See, I think one of the traps that we're in danger of falling in, and they want us to fall into in the marijuana legalization arguments, is this, I forget what the exact name of the fallacy is, but it's the one where if it can't be perfect, then we shouldn't do it at all, right? Like, we're going to legalize marijuana. Well, that won't end racism in the criminal justice system. Well, of course it won't, but it'd be a nice start. If we legalize marijuana, that's not going to end the cartels being criminals. Well, of course not. They're criminals. That's what criminals do, is they commit crimes. What we're saying is, why give them the marijuana market?
And why make more of them, or why make more criminals by putting innocent people in jail amongst them?
The Gothic prophet brings up Los Pollos Hermanos, the chicken front for the meth dealer in Breaking Bad. Good point. Good point. Still, at least someone was going there and inspecting his chicken to make sure that it was, And he did eventually blow up, didn't he? Oh, spoiler alert.
Oh, big
all right. So
whoop.
The idea that legalization is going to get rid of the cartels is wrong. Cartels and criminals are going to try to exploit legalization. The point is that they have to try harder to do that than they would if we just give them the market through prohibition, which is what we've been doing for 20 years and obviously has only made them very rich and very powerful.
Yeah.
Hey, it's 4:20 here in the Pacific time zone. I have an idea. Let's smoke some weed.
Sounds like a plan to me.
We ought to do this at 20 after every day.
I think we do.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Duh.
Oh, have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? A reefer man. If he said he swam to China,
mine's bigger than yours.
Said you South Carolina, then you know you're talking to that reefer man.
When you are starting up a medical cannabis business, you don't just want any attorney. You want a fired-up lawyer who understands the needs of cannabis consumers. The law office of Lauren Vasquez is your fired-up lawyer for the cannabis industry. Lauren Vasquez knows the details of California marijuana law from both a personal and professional angle. Lauren Vasquez rose from the ranks of college normal activist to become one of the Bay Area's best marijuana lawyers. Visit her website, fireduplawyer.com, or call 1-855-MMJ-LAWS for more information. That's 855-665-5297 for Lauren Vasquez, your fired-up lawyer, or email fireduplawyer@gmail.com. The number again is 855-MMJ-LAWS, 855-665-5297 for your fired-up lawyer, Lauren Vasquez. Lauren Vasquez is an activist attorney you can trust. Call today.
Marijuana, do you wanna? Mary, do you wanna tonight?
As marijuana goes mainstream, you need to be armed with the facts. Nobody can teach you better than Dr. Mitch Earlywine, Ph.D. You may know Dr. Mitch from his column in High Times magazine or his weekly appearance on the Russ Belville Show. Dr. Mitch is also the author of some of the best books on marijuana science, culture, history, and health, including Understanding Marijuana, Parents' Guide to Marijuana, Pot Politics, and more. Visit Amazon.com and search for Mitch Earlywine, that's EARLEYWINE, and order your books today. You can also contact Dr. Mitch by email at 420research@gmail.com. Getting High with Adam Ill from Los Angeles, California, every Friday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. GMT, right here on 420radio.org.
Hey, pass me that blunt, man. Hold on, dog.
Oh yeah, welcome back. 23 after the hour. That's Jabba Jaw with Smokers Only.
The Jabba Jaw.
Hanging out with Ryan the Red here.
Hey, how?
Toker Talk Radio. Phone number's up above, 971-533-7111 if you feel like jabbering with us. Until then, I got stories to tell, and this one's a sad one, coming to us from Huffington Post, but it reminds us how much there is still left to do. Legalizing an ounce of marijuana in 3 plants in Colorado, legalizing an ounce in Washington, that's just opening the door. We're not fully stepped through it yet into true freedom.
Well, we haven't quite kicked it open yet.
And this story definitely reminds us of that. It's a story Saki Nafo up on Huffington Post has written, sentenced to life in prison for selling marijuana. And it points out that even though we've got pot shops now in Colorado and all the media, either for or against, commenting on that, we've still got people serving life in prison for doing what is now legal in Colorado. Okay? So according to the Human Solution, which is a advocacy group, at least 25 people have been condemned to live out their days behind bars because they were involved in the marijuana trade. Some of them were low level, some of them were high level, but a lot of them are there because they were high enough level for the charges to stick and low enough level that they didn't have anyone to snitch on. And such is the story of this one man they write about, James Romans, who's a divorced 42-year-old father of 3 from Indiana. Last year, a judge sentenced him to life in prison because of evidence that suggested he helped run a multi-million-dollar pot operation. And as Romans tells the story, he was working low-wage construction jobs in suburban Indianapolis in 2004, struggling to support his kids and dibbling and dabbling in pot dealing, when one of his childhood friends offered him a chance to join a big-time marijuana ring. Romans claimed he worked as a middleman, relaying money from about 15 lower-level dealers to the friend, Eric Piper, whom Romans now says was the boss. So, got your childhood buddy Eric, got you in. Now you're running money for about 15 dealers, right? So, when he was first arrested, they found him guilty of dealing 27 pounds, and they put him in a work release program. But then, when he was just about 2 weeks away from being released, federal agents picked him up, and investigators had gotten new evidence that showed he'd been dealing pot by the ton, not by the pound. And so he was guilty, or found guilty in being a major trafficking player for more than 10,000 kilos of marijuana from the U.S., from Mexico. So under the 1987 sentencing guidelines during the Reagan-era drug war, if a judge concludes the defendant possessed guns in the furtherance of the crime, operated a house where the drugs were stashed, or helped run a trafficking organization, the level of the offense goes higher. The prosecutors were able to get testimony showing him guilty of all three: firearms, stash house, and trafficking. Testimony that came from his ex-wife and from others who were dealers who lied in exchange for reduced sentences, according to Romans. Judge didn't believe him, and so he gets stuck as being the kingpin. Now, the judge did not have to sentence him to life. This wasn't like a mandatory minimum thing where the judge's hands are tied. There was a case for the U.S. Supreme Court back in 2005. It was called United States v. Booker, and it said that judges do not have to comply with sentencing guidelines. In other words, it actually recognized that the word guideline means it's a guideline. Okay, it's not a rule.
Yeah.
So anyway, the judge did not have to sentence to life, right? But the sentencing hearing took place in February, and the judge was named Marcia Crone. Sometimes people are named appropriately. This judge was named Marcia Crone, C-R-O-N-E. And the court-appointed attorney for Romans at the sentencing hearing said, quote, "I have been doing this long enough, and I've had clients receive life sentences. And the one thing the common denominator in all those life sentences is they murdered somebody." "Well, you can get life for not murdering people," retorted Judge Crone. "I know you can," said defense attorney Whalen, "but to me this is not that case, Your Honor." Crone wasn't impressed by Whalen's arguments. She said, quote, "I think a life sentence is appropriate in this instance." Crone specifically noted that she didn't support the recent efforts made by states around the country to loosen restrictions around pot. Quote, "I don't agree with it, and the federal government hasn't changed the marijuana laws. I think it's misguided the places that have, so I don't agree with that, and I'm not going to look at trends." End quote. So he was given a life sentence and is still there right now. According to the Federal Bureau of Prisons, it costs an average of $30,000 a year to keep someone confined in high security lockup. And as they age, of course, it gets older. I mean, it gets greater, right? $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year, according to, I got to find the guy's name, David Zlotnick, a former U.S. assistant attorney. So yeah, we're going to spend $30,000 a year at minimum to keep this guy in prison for the rest of his life, when if he was just waited and was a citizen of Colorado and applied for a license, what he did would be perfectly legal. This is the big part of ending the drug war that's going to have to take a lot of work in the courthouses and in the state houses around this country, and that is freeing the pot POWs. As ludicrous as it is that anyone is in jail, is in prison for growing and selling houseplants, medicinal herbs, if you will, as ludicrous as that is right now, it's far more ludicrous the more legal marijuana becomes. Holding these people just out of spite now. Well, you did it when it was illegal. And that brings me to another angle on this as well. And it's something we see in the issuing of licenses now in the recreational world and the the means by which they determine the qualifications by which people are determined to be eligible for these licenses. And we've seen it in the medical marijuana states with respect to opening dispensaries and such. And it's always this felony rule. You can't have a felony for any drug-related crime. Because if you did it when it was illegal and you got caught, you can't do it now when it's legal and you're being open about it. When you were trying to hide from the law and you got caught, your punishment is you can't do it out in the open.
If you did it well enough to get our attention before you guys passed your silly law, then you can't do it now that you've passed your silly law. What?
It makes no sense. It defines someone permanently as criminal who is now, by their actions, would not be criminal. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous, and there's just no reason for these for people to be treated this way after we get marijuana legalized. And furthermore, it harms the market. Who are the guys? Now, you can say a lot of things about, growing dope, if you want to call it that. But one thing you got to point out is some marketing ingenuity, some entrepreneurial spirit, some business acumen,
some balls,
some huevos rancheros necessary to be able to pull off a completely clandestine business under the penalty of being caught. Of course, I guess you could make the argument if they got caught, they weren't the best ones now, were they? But sometimes they're just the unlucky ones.
Sometimes they just, don't trust the right people. And, if you're doing something illegal, you got to be careful.
So we have this burgeoning industry, but we're trying to keep some of the best of them out of the industry. Now, let me give you a lesson. This comes from the world of information technology, a place that I was a resident of before my armpit hair declared me ineligible for it. Mm-hmm. In information technology, there's a very, very fascinating field of cryptology and encryption.
Oh, I love that.
It's wonderful. Code breakers and all this stuff.
Yeah, that stuff is
awesome use of math, right? Mm-hmm. And part of this is the hacker community, people who use their cryptographic skills to be able to break into computer networks.
Actually, a large part.
Yeah, there's hackers, right? So what does the FBI do when they find a kick-ass hacker? They offer them immunity if they'll work for the good guys, right? If you broke into our FBI databank. We got a job for you.
Well, back when Windows 95 was first coming out, Microsoft had supposedly hired a group of about 20 hackers so that they could find vulnerabilities in the software so they could patch it.
Sure. So you find the guys that are the best at it, even though it's illegal, and you divert their energies toward making the legal side better. Hey, wouldn't that work with pot?
Well, you'd think.
Take all these guys now, these guys that were busted in the 70s and 80s, growing some of them legacy strains. Let them out and let them grow the weed at the state marijuana farm for medical marijuana patients. Get those Stanley brothers some help out there in Colorado. Have some guys out there helping to grow and develop high CBD strains so epileptic kids can not suffer anymore.
Yeah,
all of this human potential, horticultural knowledge that for a lot of these guys, I imagine that got busted in the 70s, are forgotten techniques maybe.
Yeah.
That they could be contributing to our movement and contributing to the knowledge of this plant and its medical efficacy that is being wasted sitting there in prisons while we spend $30,000 a year on each one of them. My God, it makes no sense. Unless, of course, you own prison stock, and then it makes
pretty good
sense.
Actually, it makes dollars.
Oh, yeah, it makes dollars too. All right, so that's the story. It's in Huffington Post. You can find that. The title again is "Sentenced to Life in Prison for Selling Marijuana,"
which is bullshit.
25 people. So when Kevin Sabet says, nobody's really in prison for marijuana, this guy's in prison for his life for marijuana. Oh, but he was selling. Yes. So what? It doesn't make the plant any more harmful if it's bought and sold. Unless you try to restrict that, and then people start shooting each other.
He would be an asset in Colorado right now.
Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Let him bring in the beat. Adam Hand of Handmade Apparel produces quality custom designs for t-shirts, hats, and other apparel. Handmade Apparel is the official design shop for 420 Radio, The Russ Belville Show, Ganja John, and Cascadia Concentrates, among many clients who rely on Adam Hand for everything from short-run custom projects to full-run clothing lines. Adam's meticulous designs are individually crafted and screened in vibrant high-definition color. Visit handmadeapparel.biz to browse the selection of handmade gear or to get a personal quote for your own designs. Handmade Apparel, a proud supporter of 420radio.org. Let him bring in the beat.
Support the Russ Belville Show. Text the word Russ to 420-420 and connect with the National Cannabis Coalition. You can also send $10 to the Russ Belville Show right from your smartphone. That's Russ to 420-420. You're listening to Radical Russ on the Russ Belville Show.
.420 Radio, the world's voice of marijuana legalization.
There is a peaceful solution called a peace revolution. And now let's take back America.
Hi, this is Willie Nelson. Like millions of freedom-loving Americans, I'm a marijuana smoker, and I don't think that should be any of the government's business. There's absolutely nothing wrong with the responsible use of marijuana. The next time you light up, take the time to let your elected officials know how you feel. It's time we legalize marijuana and stop treating marijuana smokers like criminals. For more information on how you can help legalize marijuana, please contact NORML at norml.org.
Walking through this badonka orchard the other day. Ooh. And I saw these two donkeys getting in this car, right?
Oh, I know what you mean by donkey.
But it was shoved in one pair of pants.
Oh.
Badonka-donk, 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 yeah, badonka-donk.
That's Yo Mama's Big Fat Booty Band, and the song is called Ass.
If you don't know Yo Mama's Big Fat Booty Band, then you don't know.
Actually, the title is @ $$.
Yeah, well, you know, because they can't say ass on regular radio.
Yes, I don't know. Yeah, we wouldn't want them to ban Yo Mama's Big Fat Booty Band at Walmart.
They're like,
that'd be bad.
The badonkadonk song. Wait, well, that actually would be appropriate at the at Walmart.
Yeah, yeah. Well, good point. Good point. Little badonk there. This is the kind of music you hear on Big Daddy Fink's Funky Roller Rink every Thursday at 8 p.m. Pacific. All right, so I got to transition here because, we had that Reefer Madness that I gave you from the 6 different right-wing blowhards on one day. And then the Reefer Madness from Emily Miller that deserved its own rant on the following day. Because these people's heads are exploding with the notion that, oh my God, marijuana's legal now. Oh my God, we're about to be proved wrong. So it's their last gasp, and in dedication to that, we've got another edition of our Reefer Madness Debunked.
Marijuana is an addictive drug which produces in its users insanity, criminality, and death. Marijuana is the most violence-causing drug in the history of mankind. If the hideous monster Frankenstein came face to face with the monster of marijuana, he did from fright.
You know, it's not easy countering 7 decades of propaganda in a 2-hour show, but let's try. It's time for the Russ Belville Show's Reefer Madness Debunked.
He was in high school and quite brilliant. The kind of kid who didn't pick up a book all year and aced all his honors and AP tests in complex subjects like physics. He was also musically gifted, but he couldn't stop smoking weed. The school and his parents did all they could. He even took up sports so he wouldn't go home after school and smoke. The more he smoked, the more he slacked off, the less frequency he attended class, did his work, and participated in class. They finally expelled him. He was last seen walking on the 101 in the wee hours of the morning on meth, punching and flailing at the police, who pulled him over to see if he was okay. All right, so this is Sally Zelikovsky writing. She's writing in the AmericanThinker.com. The article is Asking the Right Questions About Pot. And basically she's talking about this guy that she knew from college, how she typed up his papers, and he was brilliant, but years of smoking dope left his brain all a jumble and his papers unintelligible. And I just wonder, Sally, if you'd stop to think that perhaps maybe it wasn't smoking dope that was his problem, that maybe he had a mental illness. A lot of brilliant people have a mental illness, a schizophrenia, a schizotypy, something that can lead to exactly what you're talking about. And oftentimes their use of marijuana is just trying to cope with what the hell's going on in their brain. But no, he smoked pot, so therefore it must have been the pot. She goes on to say, people say pot isn't addictive. Then they'll qualify that statement and claim it isn't physically addictive. But those of us who have witnessed loved ones go to pot see it differently. When dope heads wake up in the morning completely down and depressed and grab a bong to get high, they do it to feel good again. Does it matter whether the need is psychological, physical, or a little of both? Perhaps the treatment will differ, but fighting addiction is an uphill battle, whether one's needs are physical or emotional. Dope heads. See, this is this flawed thinking. Selection bias is what it's known as. It's this thinking where you have a stereotype or you have a preconceived notion about something, and then your brain will automatically see what it is, right? The pop culture example of this is like you go buy a new car. Let's say you go buy a Subaru, right? And suddenly you notice all the Subarus that are around you. Wow, I didn't know so many people drove Subarus. Well, no, the same number have always driven Subarus. You just notice them now because you're in a Subaru. The same goes for these prohibitionists when they see a pothead. When they're thinking what a pothead is, oh my God, the pothead is a stone stereotypical slacker, loser, doper that's sitting on the couch eating munchies on welfare. And so when they look through the population and, oh, look, there's a pothead who's on welfare, who's a doper, who's a slacker, who's a loser, they assume, there you go, see, potheads, that's what they're like. And they completely glossed over their butcher and their teacher and their next door neighbor and all the people who are successful and well adjusted and doing just fine.
They focus on the one.
Wasn't their Subaru.
Yeah.
Those are Fords and Chevys and Lincolns out there. That wasn't a Subaru. She goes on, the habitual pot smokers I've known are usually in denial about the effects pot has had on their lives. Usually in denial. See, this is this flaw in the addiction treatment industry that is so. This is the flaw in the addiction treatment industry that is so frustrating, is that once they attribute you to being addicted, it's a disease of the brain, and therefore any judgments you're making cannot be trusted. It's a self-serving definition that makes it so that once they declare that you're an addict, we don't have to listen to any of your points of view anymore because you're in denial. I'm not at all in denial about the effects pot has had on my life. It completely derailed a successful information technology career because my armpit hair wasn't good enough. I know exactly what the effect pot has had on my life. Has it had an effect on my cognition? I don't know, I'm writing more than I've ever written before and being picked up in more and more locations for my writing. I'm running a highly complex technological show that involves computer technology, video technology, audio technology, internet technology. You be the judge. Now she comes back. How will the cartels respond to competition from pot producers in this country? Will black markets arise to meet demands for stronger or cheaper unregulated dope? And won't law enforcement have to spend resources dealing with that? Will the legalization of grass pave the way for the legalization of all drugs? A world libertarians crave, but most of us fear? Well, no.
Yeah.
No.
It's like most of the world fears a world with legal drugs. I don't know. Most countries that have legalized possession of small amounts of drugs are quite, calm and peaceful, and
Oh, you know how it is in the Netherlands, man.
Oh,
it's riots night after night.
Yeah, you hear about all the
all those pot zombies
shootings,
seeking those strains.
Strains.
Will there be black markets? Of course, there's going to be black markets. There's black markets in cigarettes right now. There's black markets in beer right now. There's black markets in fake handbags.
And liquor.
I mean, you can't stop that. But
bootleg videos, DVDs, everything.
This idea is, no, here's her trade-off. Will black markets arise to meet the demands for stronger or cheaper unregulated dope, and won't law enforcement have to spend resources dealing with that? Lady, law enforcement is spending resources right now dealing with the entire black market. We're talking about taking a piece out of the black market. How can what they're left to deal with be not smaller than what they have right now to deal with? You get what we're saying? Right now they have to deal with every college kid with an 8th baggie in his pocket. Again, back to the Colorado chart. That's what they had to deal with on the left before legalization when it came to arresting and charging people for pot. And that on the right is what they have to deal with after legalizing. Now, they've also pointed out in Colorado, by the way, that while those charges for marijuana have dropped by, like I said, 74% or so, and the charges for petty possession over 80% have dropped, overall police caseloads haven't dropped. That sounds to me like they're actually working on other crime.
Hey, wait.
Whoa.
Didn't we tell them that's what would be happening in the first place? Oh, look.
Amazing how predictive we are sometimes.
Oh, and maybe pot does make you psychic.
Here's another one from, again, we're speaking of Sally Zelikovsky. She writes, I see a rampant decline in our culture and society, especially among the youth, and I wonder if drug use in general and pot use in particular do not play a more prevalent role in that decline than we have been led to believe. For example, could it be that so many in the baby boom generation had difficulty conceiving because of their weed indulgences at young ages in high school and college? After all, smoking weed at a young age over a sustained period of time does lower sperm count. Could this have also directly affected their offspring, leading to the surge in learning disabilities, behavioral, and emotional problems? Could this be a contributing factor to why our children are scoring lower on tests and performing worse in school than we did when drug use was taboo and drugs were hard to come by, classes were bigger, and resources fewer? All right, let me start with the first one. The marijuana use leading to the decline in sperm count and fertility. How many kids did Bob Marley have that we know of? 11?
Yeah,
11?
10,
How many kids does Tommy Chong have that we know
like
of? Isn't
5,
it?
I think.
7?
7, yeah.
How many kids does Willie Nelson have? Was it like 9?
8, 9, yeah.
Something like that?
Something like that.
Just checking.
Okay.
If marijuana use, heavy marijuana use, led to declining sperm counts, we would see declining populations of Rastafarians, don't you think? Wouldn't we see fewer hippie kids? Wouldn't we see fewer kids in general? Just from the 60s on? No. We don't see any evidence of any decline in birth rates worldwide, even as use of cannabis went through the roof. And this idea that it affected their offspring, leading to the, learning disabilities and I guess autism and everything else, right? That's why all that's going through the roof. Has nothing to do with the pollution in the air, the quality of our food, the quality of our health care.
The fact that schools require children to get state-mandated vaccines, which have been proven to be tainted.
No, I don't believe that bullshit. I'm a vaccine guy. We're not going off the vaccine on this show.
Okay,
Sorry.
Fine.
Sorry, I don't believe that.
You can do whatever you want, but...
But here's another one. Since so many crimes are committed under the influence of drugs like pot... What?
Like jaywalking?
Since so many crimes are committed under the influence of drugs like pot, and so many car accidents are the result of drugged driving, how will crime and auto fatalities be affected when smoking and ingesting pot are perfectly legal and socially acceptable? Lady, legalization doesn't invent marijuana. Marijuana currently exists. If there was going to be a whole bunch of crime and car accidents, we'd see them now. Mm-hmm. We'd have really seen them in 1979 at the height of American marijuana use. Yeah. This is the thing that's funny about this is these guys that predict all this gloom and doom, oh, there's going to be so much more use, never tell you how much more. How much more use? Is it going to double? Because it would have to double to get to where we were in 1979. Here's where we go off the deep end. Are you ready? Off the deep end.
Okay, I got my waders on.
Since it is no longer an illegal substance, could students sell brownies laced with pot at a school bake sale?
At a school bake sale?
Yeah.
What, college kids?
No. Even in Colorado, they have a huge set of laws with respect to the selling of edibles and marijuana-infused products.
You can't just make something up at your house. And
she's inventing these things out of whole cloth that there's going to be suddenly, like, you're going to see the 5th grade school class selling pot brownies. Come on now. How about the bakery or the supermarket? Would they need to disclose it as an ingredient any more than they have to disclose the sugar in chocolate? Lady, go get in touch with the Colorado Marijuana Enforcement Division and ask for their set of regulations regarding marijuana-infused packaging. But be prepared to pay a lot of postage because it's a lot of pages long. It's thick. There's plenty of the people have already thought through this. Plenty. Oh, my God. There's so much reefer madness we can't get to it all in one show. So we're going to take a break right here, and I believe we're going to get some news coming in from Medigrow? Oh, yes, on Mike Can Activism. So stay tuned. Listen to Toker Talk Radio.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water? The most effective method for baking pot brownies? The best destinations for a ganja getaway? How to hide herb in your car? Whether to grow your own? How precisely to legalize it? Or how something as wonderful as marijuana ever got to be illegal in the first place? Finally, you can find all these answers and much more in the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook, featuring 420 things to do when you're stoned. Since 1974, High Times Magazine has covered marijuana in all its aspects and wonders, from cultivation to legalization to the herb's enduring and exalted place in popular culture. Packed with inside information, the official High Times Pot Smoker's Handbook rolls all of this collected wisdom together into a single indispensable ganja guide, including an entertaining look at marijuana's history, profiles of herb-friendly travel destinations and festivals, favorite potluck recipes from the High Times staff, smoking skills, advocacy and activism, essential marijuana movies and songs, profiles of famous cannabis strains, comprehensive growing information, celebrity endorsements, and much more. This is truly, finally, the ultimate guide to green living.
The Russ Belville Show, starring Russ Belville from Portland, Oregon. Live Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific on 420radio.org.
Georgia. Hi, this is Willie Nelson, and I need your help. Alcohol prohibition didn't work in the 20s, and marijuana prohibition isn't working today. It's time we stop arresting law-abiding citizens because they prefer marijuana over alcohol. Nearly 2,000 Americans are arrested every day on marijuana charges. We're unfairly destroying the lives and careers of hundreds of thousands of people each year simply because they smoke marijuana. These are not criminals. They're average citizens like you, good neighbors who work hard, raise families, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. We need your help to end marijuana prohibition once and for all. It's the fair thing to do.
For more information, contact NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. Call toll-free 888-67-NORML or visit their website at norml.org.
Back, everybody. Toker Talk Radio. We're going to go straight to the phone lines here because we've got Betty Grove, Vermont on the line, who's going to give us an update, little activism news going out there on the East Coast. How you doing, Fran?
Great, Russ, great. I have to give a shout-out tonight to two people in Massachusetts that are really doing a great thing. We got Nina Green with her flower healing oils, and we've got, of course, Mike Can, who is putting the word out. And I have on a personal note, I have a friend with stage 4 cancer that they have helped this week, and they're going to be connecting with free, and I'll say free again, free oil for a cancer patient when both the cancer hospital, Dana-Farber, and the other hospitals in Boston cannot do this for the patients at this time. What do you think of that?
The studio audience loves it.
Yeah, just fantastic. Again, out to Mike Can and Nina Green for helping my friend Judy out. She's stage 4. She really needs it, and she didn't have the money. So there you go. Grassroots on the East Coast. Even though you guys got legalized it, we're still digging in the trenches out here, but the people are working.
Totally understood. Well, good luck, and glad that worked out. And yeah, kudos to Mike Can out there who's kicking ass.
Yeah, and Nina Green's flower healing oils those are the people out on the Cape there that have got the place where they're teaching people. I forgot the name. You might remember that.
Not off the top of my head today, but
oh no, I'm going to fail on that one right now. But that's my fault.
Hey, no.
I think Grassroots Institute out on the Cape. I think that's where Nina came from. So they're doing a good thing.
All right, man. Well, thank you for the update, and good luck on everything that's happening out there on the East Coast.
And for you as well. And Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how things turn out, man. I'm still waiting for all the people with money and experience and tech to figure what's going to happen. I'm just the talent. I'm just hoping to get to spread the word more. And as we go out, I want to remind everyone we're still having our Fan Friday trivia contest that we've extended because I was late getting the podcast open. You could win this March 1975 edition of High Times magazine. Great stuff in there. It's real fun to look at the old ads and especially the trans high market quotations. Not only their quotes for various different kinds of legacy strains of weed, but also cocaine and LSD and peyote.
Yep.
So
it's like a Quaalude ad, maybe. In one
it's
of
a Quaalude. It's actually that ad was an ad for a photo of a Quaalude. If you read the fine print,
that's great.
How many stoners send in 350?
You know that so many people sent in 350.
What's this? A picture? This is some bullshit.
Damn it!
But there you go, the March 75 High Times, and all you got to do is answer our trivia question, which is, what is the first name of the founder of NORML? What is the first name of the founder of NORML? Send your answer with the subject Fan Friday to russ@radicalruss.com by email, russ@radicalruss.com by email, and put the answer in there, the first name of the founder of NORML. You will be entered into the drawing. We will draw Friday for who wins this High Times magazine from 1975.
If you're correct, you'll be entered in the drawing.
If you're correct, you're entered into the drawing. So, well, yeah, got to be correct. Entering the incorrect entries. You could send in any name. You could say his name was Dominic or Mustafa.
Or Joe Bob.
Or Joe Bob. Yeah, we're not going to let Joe Bob get in on this. That's not right.
Nope.
We got to do this the right way.
Right.
All right, but that's all the time we got here for Hour 2. Stay tuned. 5 o'clock. Another edition of Stony Sunday with our friend Coral Reefer out there in San Francisco, California. New episode has been posted. I just loaded it into the song list as we were speaking. That's coming up here at 5. At 6 and 7, you get the replays of Russ Belville Show and Toker Talk Radio. And then 8 o'clock Pacific, join me live here for another edition of the New Viper Hour. We're going to have ourselves a lot of fun tonight. For Brian the Red, I'm Radical Russ. Thanks for joining us. We'll keep you posted through our online accounts. We're at 420 Radio Org on Twitter, at 420 Radio Org on Facebook, at RB Show 420 RB Show 420 on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And I'm Radical Russ everywhere. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, take care of each other, Tokers.
This is the Russ Belville Show. The Russ Belville Show is blogging and podcasting daily at radicalruss.com.
You take a seed, you plant it, you grow it, you dry it, you roll it, you smoke it. You take a seed, you plant it,